Good evening. We had today a video conference with the head of state and the head of government and with the president of the Eurogroup and the president of the European Central Bank. We affirmed the need to work together and to do everything necessary to tackle the crisis and its consequences. On the four priorities identified, the first, limiting the spread of the virus, we endorsed the guidelines proposed by the Commission on border management. We need to ensure passage of medicines, foodstuffs and goods, and our citizens must be able to travel to their home countries. Adequate solutions for cross-border workers will be found. To limit the spread of the virus globally, we agreed to reinforce our external borders by applying a coordinated temporary restriction of non-essential travel to the EU for a period of 30 days, based on the approach proposed by the Commission. The second item, providing medical equipment, we welcomed the decision taken by the Commission to adopt a prior authorization for export of medical equipment, and we supported the Commission effort to engage with the industry, to run joint public procurements, and to purchase of protective equipment through the civil protection framework. This second item is very essential. We need to make important progress in the next days and in the next weeks on this important topic. The third topic, promoting research. We encourage the efforts made to support research, such as the advisory group on COVID-19, and we stress the need to share information and to develop a vaccine and make it available to all those in need. We invite also the Member States and the Commission to support European companies in that respect. The fourth point, tackling socio-economic consequences. We endorsed the Eurogroup statement and invited the Eurogroup to continuously and closely monitor economic and financial developments and to adapt without delay a coordinated policy response to the rapidly evolving situation. And we supported the various initiatives taken by the Commission in the areas of the single market, such as the adaptation of the state aid rules and the use of the flexibilities provided for in the Stability and Growth Pact and the recourse to the EU budget. The Union and its Member States will do whatever it takes to address the current challenges, to restore confidence and to support a rapid recovery for the sake of our citizens. The fifth point is also very important, and that's why the High Representative was also present and active in this, for this conference, video conference. We committed to coordinate among our embassies and the EU delegations in third countries, and the High Representative and the European External Action Service will support in this regard. We will jointly arrange repatriation of EU citizens where necessary and possible and make use of the Union Civil Protection Mechanism. Additionally, EU funding for such joint operations will be mobilized. Je voudrais aussi ajouter que nous avons convenu que nous nous retrouverons à nouveau la semaine prochaine dans le cadre d'une vidéoconférence. Cela signifie que le Conseil européen qui devait se tenir physiquement à Bruxelles jeudi et vendredi n'aura pas lieu, mais qu'il y aura bien à nouveau la semaine prochaine une vidéoconférence entre les chefs d'État et les chefs de gouvernement. Je voudrais vous indiquer, après ces pratiquement 3 heures de vidéoconférence, que le message que nous donnons est le suivant. Nous sommes en rang serré. Nous nous serrons les coudes, nous faisons face à une crise qui est sérieuse, qui est grave, exceptionnelle par sa nature et par son ampleur. Et le message que nous adressons, dans le cadre du travail très intense qui a été mené avec les États membres, avec la Commission européenne tout au long des derniers jours, c'est que nous avançons ensemble. Nous voulons progresser ensemble, relever ensemble les mêmes objectifs. Il s'agit de faire reculer cette menace, de faire en sorte que l'on ralentisse autant qu'il est possible la propagation des virus. C'est la raison pour laquelle la plupart des États membres, tous les États membres même, ont pris des mesures très fortes afin de réduire les déplacements, de faire reculer cette contamination et cette contagion et surtout de soutenir nos services de santé, les travailleurs qui sont actifs dans le domaine de la santé. Et je voudrais vraiment dire que la première priorité essentielle, qui traduit bien les valeurs européennes, c'est d'être mobilisé pour la santé de nos concitoyens. Et nous serons aussi mobilisés, très déterminés s'agissant des conséquences économiques et sociales. Mais la mobilisation, elle est tout entière tournée dans les jours qui viennent sur cette question de la santé. Et nous allons continuer à travailler sur les différents aspects, y compris sur les conséquences économiques et par conséquent sociales.
Thank you, Charles. It was indeed very good to see how the member states strongly endorsed the package we have brought forward over the last days. It's the package on borders, the package on the economy, on the joint public procurement we have, and of course including the research part. So it was good to see that it was full approval on the side of the member states. To go into a few of these topics more deeply, indeed, one of the first topics was the implementation of the temporary entry restrictions on the external borders. So we got a lot of support by the member states. It's up to them now to implement. They said they will immediately do that. This is good. So that we have a unanimous and united approach what the external borders are concerned. There was a lot of approval what our proposal is concerned. A big topic today were, of course, also the internal borders and consequently the blockages there. And here it is absolutely crucial that we unblock the situation because we know that too many people are stranded within the European Union and have a problem to go back home. They have to be supported to go back home. And, of course, we have a lot of traffic jam of lorries transporting goods. The flow of goods has to be swift. We need these goods for the functioning of the internal market. And, therefore, there was a broad welcome concerning the guidelines we issued yesterday, that were discussed yesterday in the Council of the Ministers of Internal Affairs. So big approval for the so-called green lanes, the fast-track lanes, mainly for the flow of goods. But we have also to make sure that the commuters can go back and forth where they live or where they work. There was an impressive example from Luxembourg, who the Prime Minister of Luxembourg said very clearly that's for Luxembourg essential, that they have the commuters coming back and forth because the majority of the health workers in the hospitals are living either in France or in Germany and have to commute swiftly, and it cannot take them hours to go to work or back home. So it's important that we fix that situation here. Same goes for the lorries. My commissioners are in constant contact with the respective ministers of the different member states that we solve that now. We have the guidelines. There was approval for the guidelines, and they have to be implemented now. One point that was very positive, we had been asked to set up a group of experts, virologists or epidemiologists, to give us advice, and we had the first meetings, and it was good to see that they fully approve in their recommendation what the measures for the term is social distancing is concerned. So it's absolutely correct on an evidence-based and scientific-based approach to have these measures to slow down the spread of the virus, to make sure that we have no public gatherings, that universities and schools are closed, that entertainment places are closed, because we want people, in this case, not to have contact with each other so that we can reduce the speed of the spread of the virus and therefore reduce the pressure on the health sector and the patients that have to be treated. We launched today public procurement for gloves and masks, and yesterday for respiratory ventilators. 24 member states are participating. That is good. The companies have now 6 days to tender, and then the member state can immediately sign up the contract the day after the tender is closed within the next 6 days. We are working also with the industry throughout Europe to ramp up the production of these scarce goods, so concerning the personal protective equipment, but also the ventilators that are desperately needed. And finally, on Friday, indeed, we launched a strong economic package. This too was unanimously endorsed by the member states. Friday feels already quite a while ago, because since Friday we see that things have gotten even more serious. The situation has worsened. The economic situation is extremely serious, and therefore all the measures that have been taken on the health side, which are correct to contain the virus, we see that they have a huge impact on our economy. This is an external shock, and it hits the whole world. We have never had that before. The enemy is a virus. And now we have to do our utmost to protect our people and to protect our economies. Since last Friday, we are working on all fronts to deliver on the ground. First, we are right now finalizing the new temporary framework for state aid that will provide very high flexibility to member states to support, for example, their companies. Second, it was good to see that yesterday the Eurogroup welcomed our readiness to activate the general escape clause. We are working on it and will come forward with a proposal to the Council in the next days. And let me stress once more, we are ready to do everything that is required. We will not hesitate to take additional measures as the situation evolves. Thank you.
We'll take a couple of questions in the room, and we've received a lot of questions, of course, virtually. But first, yes, Politico, we'll take a question from you.
Sarah Wheaton with Politico. President von der Leyen, today you posted a video on Twitter talking about aid to a company working on a vaccine for coronavirus. And you said, I hope that with the support we can have a vaccine on the market perhaps before autumn. Regulators and public health experts in both the U.S. and Europe have consistently said it will take at least a year to a year and a half to have a widely available vaccine, and that's even speeding up the normal regulatory process. So what makes you think there's a possibility that we would have a vaccine by autumn? And is there a responsibility for Commission officials like yourself to maintain realistic expectations in the public?
Yes, the fact that other countries tried to buy that company show that they are the front runner in the research, highly acknowledged, and they are working on a pattern that has already been approved and gone through specific processes that are necessary. So they are highly specialized in this field, and it's their prediction that they might be able towards fall to have the possibility to have a vaccine that is fighting coronavirus. It was very important for us. It's a European company. We wanted to keep it in Europe. It wanted to stay in Europe. It was very important to give it the necessary funding, and that has happened yesterday when we had this conversation.
With all due respect, I asked them, and they said that they acknowledge the process usually takes years. It would be up to regulators to speed it up. Have you gotten any guarantees from regulators? Can you give us any specific information about what is leading you to make a prediction that differs from regulators?
Yes, I think as we are in a severe crisis, we all see that we are able to speed up any of the processes that are slow normally and take a lot of time and are very bureaucratic. We all know it goes for the public procurement, for example, right now too. We have processes that normally are slow, are difficult, but we have the means to speed them up. And here too, I think if we focus on the essential, we're talking about a crisis that will not only affect heavily the European Union, but we know it will spread throughout the world. And just imagine that it goes into other regions of this world, what it means to have a potential vaccine. So this is of utmost importance for us.
Yes, next question.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thomas Kutschka, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. A question to the President of the Commission. Have you received any assurances today from the Polish government that it is going to change its policy at the border, specifically stopping people from the Baltic republics that want to cross through? And have you received assurances from any government that with the closing of external borders, they are willing to take back some of the unilateral controls they have introduced in the Schengen area these past days? Thanks.
We had a good discussion with the member states on the problems at the border, also specific borders in member states. It was good to hear that I had several phone calls with the Polish Prime Minister, and it was good to hear that he said to the member states that they are working at the moment being, first of all, on the fast track, on the green lanes, and to make sure that there is a corridor that is important for the lorries, and that they are working hard also on giving assistance to the people that are stranded on the German side, for example, people coming from Estonia or Latvia or Lithuania, so that they can go through in a corridor through Poland. It is absolutely necessary that something happens, but I'm positive that there will be a movement and a positive change over the next days.
I have a question.
And yeah,
Any reassurances that countries are willing to lift controls with the closing of external borders?
Yes, I think it is important now to implement the regime on the external border. I told you, and you said it too, that we have an intensive discussion about the internal border measures that are hampering not only the single market and our economy, but also difficult for the labour market, for example, with those who are commuters. And we have published the guidelines. The guidelines got a lot of backing, so I think the first step will be that we ease the tension in those regions where internal borders have been, border measurements have been put up in general, so that they are more flexible and they are more targeted on leaving the way to the flow of goods and those people who have to cross the border urgently. But I think it will take quite a while still till we reach the lifting of the internal border. It was an intensive discussion. I think it was clear at the end of the discussion that we have to be very careful with our single market, and this is the most in the economy. It's the most precious instrument we do have. So it's of utmost importance that we keep it going and keep it up, because it is of essential importance, mainly being in such a crisis as we are right now.
J'ai quelques questions aussi en français. D'abord, peut-être pour le président du Conseil de AFP. Pouvez-vous confirmer que le sommet de la semaine prochaine se tiendra par vidéoconférence? Est-ce un format qui permet réellement de prendre des décisions et est-ce tenable?
C'est la deuxième vidéoconférence que nous avons avec les chefs d'État et de gouvernement. Ça nous a permis la semaine passée de prendre des orientations très fortes et très claires qui ont donné l'occasion dans les jours qui ont suivi de travailler sur des mesures très précises et concrètes. On vient d'en parler maintenant et je confirme que la semaine prochaine nous aurons à nouveau un sommet par vidéoconférence.
I have a question from the New York Times as well, from Martina Steves, President of the Council and of the President to the President of the Commission. Can you clarify which countries agreed to go ahead with the border measures? Namely, was it the 27 minus Ireland plus non-EU Schengen?
I take that one. So we got a lot of approval of member states. Actually, it was none of them who was negative on this proposal, but we know that at the moment being the UK is not planning on implementing external border restrictions. As far as I understand today, they advised their people not to travel abroad. This is, as far as I got from the news, the state of play in the UK at the moment being. And of course, this goes then for Ireland too, because we have a common travel zone. Important is that the UK citizens are EU citizens. So I think we still have to repeat that because we are in the transition phases. So for the UK citizens and, of course, Northern Ireland, things stay as they are.
I have one last question from a lot of news outlets. Quand l'interdiction d'entrer dans l'Union européenne prend-elle effet?
Le plus rapidement possible. Nous avons encouragé les États membres aujourd'hui qui ont tous soutenu cette proposition de prendre des mesures restrictives s'agissant des frontières extérieures de l'Union européenne pour les voyages non essentiels. Et les pays européens vont maintenant mettre en œuvre, puisqu'ils doivent mettre en œuvre les propositions qui ont été faites par la Commission sur ce sujet.
Thank you very much.
Merci.